Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Next Door NetAdmin. Today's video is not going to be about the how to do things so much as what are these things and why does it matter. If you feel like skipping this video because it's more of a philosophical bent, that's fine. I'm not going to take offense. This comes out of a comment that I received a little bit ago in relation to my last video, which was about Copilot and how I don't like the fact that Microsoft is pushing this application to everybody's PC, whether they like it or not. Fine. The comment was along the lines of, oh yeah, Windows and Microsoft and leftists, I don't know where that came from, are, the problem, and a molding orange in the White House, and Linux is the solution. This channel is not about politics, okay? That's not what it's here for. If I wanted to talk about politics, I'd make a channel dedicated to politics. I made a channel about being the network admin next door because that's what I'm here to talk about. That does include the how of how to do things within IT, but it also includes the what and the why. And so that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit more today, because we're not here to talk politics, but we are here to talk IT. So what is IT? Information technology. I would argue that what IT is what's called a force multiplier. What is a force multiplier? Well, you can just think about it as, it used to be that if you wanted to talk to somebody, you had to use your voice, and they had to be present there with you, which meant you could only talk to as many people as could hear you at one time. Maybe that's a room of people. Maybe you found a really good amphitheater and you could speak to a gathered assembly. But it was fundamentally limited, both in distance and in quantity and in time. Then, as you got more technology, you can pick up a telephone. You can talk to people that are a long distance away. You've multiplied the distance that you can speak. You can have a microphone and a speaker, and you can talk to a lot more people at once than you could with the unaided voice. That is a force multiplier. You've got technology now where you can make a post on social media. People don't need to be there right then. They can come back to it later. You can click on that post later. You can watch this video later. I can record it and put it on YouTube, and you can all watch it at a time of your own choosing. So the time restrictions are also being demolished. That is a force multiplier. That is what IT does. And that's all that it is, inherently, is just a force multiplier. It's neither right-wing and neither is it left-wing. It's just a force multiplier to be used however a user chooses to use it. Politics doesn't enter the equation. But there is a divide in how IT can be used. And I find it most useful to think about it in terms of what sort of power it is working towards. You can have IT that is working very much to increase the power of somebody else to make decisions without your say-so. I would call this coercive power, because it seeks to use that power to coerce you and decide this is what you will see, this is what you will have on your computer, this is what you will do. Or you can use IT in a way that I would call resistive power. It resists those forms of control and allows a person to make those decisions for themselves. Period. If we're looking at coercive power, then clearly Microsoft deciding to push an application into everybody's computer, clearly that falls under the umbrella of what I would consider to be coercive power. But there are other things that I would call coercive power. Making decisions for you. Anytime somebody says, well, you're not allowed to say that because it offends my religion. No, I'm allowed to say what I would like. You don't have to listen to it. I have no power to make you listen to it. But I should be able to, say it, and I'll have to deal with the consequences of saying it. That's my decision. And when you look at resistive power, you can take this either way. If you are somebody who feels that, there's so much wokeism and you're being censored, you can use a technology with resistive power to say what you'd like. On the other hand, if you're somebody who says government is so overbearing and they're seeking to track abortions, or they're trying to track gun ownership, or they're trying to track whatever it is, you can also use a technology with resistive power, because it's there to allow everybody, right wing or left wing, it makes no difference, to make their own decisions. So this entire framing of leftists or rightists or some molding orange sitting in the White House in Washington, D.C., I don't care. It has nothing to do with IT. IT is very much about enforcing control through coercive power or resisting control through resistive power. That's it. And I am also 100% willing to say that this is not necessarily a one or the other. I cannot afford to come down only on one side or the other. Guess what? I have a lot of corporate customers who have decided, you know what? For various reasons, we're not going to allow people to spend all day at their desk downloading whatever pornography they want. Okay, so we're going to put a web filter in there. Is that coercive power? Yes, clearly it is. We're deciding what people can and cannot view at work. There is a context where some forms of coercive power are okay. That's just the ground rules. Guess what? When I was a kid and I was living with my parents, I had to live by their rules. It was their house. It was their rules. Now I'm a big old adult. I have my own house. I make my own rules. I live by my own rules. Fine. When you are in a corporate context, it's okay in my mind if there are rules that you need to follow within that context. And I will fight very hard for keeping a very rigid boundary between work context, work's rules. Personal context, no work rules. Go away. Which is also where I say, okay, is this a work file that management should have access to, or is it somebody's personal files that I'm going to say, no, you don't get access to that? So all I'm saying is that there's places where a restrictive approach to using IT as a force multiplier to enforce restrictions is valid. There's also an area where using IT to loosen those restrictions and give people the ability to make their own decisions is also valid. So, where does that leave us? Well, like I said, this is all very much philosophical. There's no how-to here. But it's important to just accept that this is not here. This channel is not here to tell people what you should or should not do. I have some suggestions. I have some recommendations. You've seen me make lots of recommendations, but not from a political standpoint. And I'm not going to give you a political standpoint. This is very much about, here's what technology is. Here's why we can use it. And I will put forward an argument on why I think a particular way of doing things is optimal or best. You all get the choice. You all get to decide whether you agree with me or you don't agree with me. That's fine. I'm just here to advocate the what, the why, and then get to the how and tell you how to actually do things in a certain way, should you choose to do so. Cool. So yeah, that makes this certainly a shorter video, and while we got into the philosophical part of IT and how you can look at it, we didn't get into any nuts and bolts on anything. I do plan on going back to more nuts and bolts a little bit later. So thank you for your patience. Hopefully, maybe you found that enlightening. Maybe you found it thought-provoking. Perfect. Thought-provoking is good. If you have other thoughts, non-political thoughts, feel free to let me know down in the comments. If you have suggestions on things that you would like to see me talk about or demonstrate in that how to actually do IT, feel free to let me know that as well. Otherwise, hopefully you found that interesting. Thank you very much for watching. I am your next door net admin, and we will see you next time.